In War and Peace, Natasha Rostova stands out as one of the most vital and dynamic figures. She is not only the emotional heart of the Rostov family but also the moral and spiritual center of the novel's domestic sphere. Natasha's journey from innocent girlhood to mature womanhood mirrors the broader themes of Tolstoy's vision: spiritual growth, the reconciliation of passion with morality, and the ultimate triumph of authentic feeling over artificiality. Role in the narrative. Natasha Rostova is introduced as a lively, impulsive, and imaginative young girl, full of emotional vitality. She embodies youth, spontaneity, and sincerity in a world that often values convention and restraint. Her character develops across the novel's 4 volumes, paralleling Russia's transition from the carefree days of peace to the trials of war and eventual moral renewal. In the early sections, Natasha functions as the emotional and moral foil to more restrained or self-conscious characters such as Pierre Bezukhov and Andrei Bolkonsky. While Pierre seeks meaning through philosophy and Andrei through ambition and duty, Natasha's search for meaning is instinctive, rooted in feeling rather than reason. Her capacity for deep emotion, whether in love or despair, gives her a kind of authentic humanity that Tolstoy prizes above intellectual abstraction. Her romantic entanglements also serve as key narrative turning points. Her youthful infatuation with Boris Drubetskoy introduces her girlish innocence. Her passionate love for Andrei Bolkonsky signifies her idealism and capacity for genuine affection, and her disastrous involvement with Anatol Kuragin exposes her vulnerability and emotional recklessness. After her near elopement with Anatol, Natasha's moral crisis becomes a central moment in War and Peace. Her despair and illness symbolize both personal and spiritual death, a loss of innocence and faith. Yet her recovery, facilitated by Pierre's compassion and her reconnection to her family, marks a profound transformation. By the novel's conclusion, Natasha has evolved into a mature, devoted wife and mother, embodying Tolstoy's ideal of domestic and spiritual fulfillment. Symbolic significance. Natasha Rostova carries immense symbolic weight within War and Peace. She is not merely a character but a symbol of life itself, raw, spontaneous, unrefined, yet ultimately pure. In a novel often preoccupied with questions of history, fate, and free will, Natasha's natural vitality serves as a counterpoint to the intellectual abstractions that dominate other characters' lives. Tolstoy often contrasts Natasha with the artificiality of upper-class society. When she first appears at her debut ball, her natural grace and emotional authenticity distinguish her from the mechanical elegance of other women. Her instinctive dance at Uncle's house, a scene often cited as one of the novel's most lyrical moments, reveals this symbolism most clearly. Without training or pretense, Natasha dances to a traditional Russian folk tune, embodying the spirit of her nation's soul. In this moment she becomes a symbol of Russia itself, organic, unpretentious, and deeply connected to life's rhythms. Her emotional expressiveness also has a quasi-religious dimension. Tolstoy's moral universe values genuine feeling as a pathway to divine truth, and Natasha's capacity for compassion, forgiveness, and devotion aligns her with this ideal. When she nurses Prince Andrei in his final days, she performs an act of spiritual communion, transcending past sins through love and repentance. In that tender scene, Natasha ceases to be a mere individual. She becomes a vessel of mercy and grace, embodying the Christian virtues of humility, sacrifice, and unconditional love. Furthermore, her symbolic transformation from youthful enchantment to maternal maturity represents Tolstoy's ideal of womanhood. By the end of the novel, Natasha's energy, once scattered among romantic fantasies, is channeled into her role as wife and mother. Her domestic devotion to Pierre and their children exemplifies Tolstoy's belief in the sanctity of family as the foundation of moral life. Some modern readers may view this transformation as restrictive, but within Tolstoy's framework, it signifies spiritual harmony, the alignment of individual passion with moral and social duty. Broader implications. On a broader level, Natasha Rostova's character functions as a moral and philosophical counterbalance to the novel's other protagonists, especially Pierre and Andrei. Both men seek meaning through intellect and action, yet both ultimately find truth in simplicity and feeling, the very qualities Natasha embodies from the beginning. Through her, Tolstoy suggests that genuine wisdom is not achieved through reason or ambition but through living in harmony with the moral order of the universe. In the context of Tolstoy's historical philosophy, Natasha's vitality also stands in sharp contrast to the mechanistic forces of war and politics. While generals and statesmen concern themselves with strategy and glory, Natasha represents the private, emotional sphere where the real meaning of life unfolds. Her story reminds readers that human history is not defined by battles and treaties but by the quiet triumphs of love, forgiveness, and faith. Her eventual union with Pierre Bezukhov symbolizes the reconciliation of mind and heart, intellect and emotion. Pierre's philosophical idealism finds its grounding in Natasha's emotional realism, while Natasha's impulsiveness gains moral stability through Pierre's reflective nature. Together, they form the novel's final image of domestic peace, a microcosm of the harmony Tolstoy envisions for humanity at large. At a deeper level, Natasha's character reveals Tolstoy's critique of modernity and artificial social values. Her instinctive goodness stands in opposition to the moral corruption of characters like Anatole Kuragin or Helene. In an age when social ambition and materialism dominate, Natasha's authenticity represents a return to moral and spiritual roots. Her development thus parallels Tolstoy's own movement toward a moral philosophy grounded in sincerity, humility, and faith in the divine order. Finally, Natasha's transformation underscores Tolstoy's central theme, the search for spiritual peace in a chaotic world. Her journey from romantic delusion to maternal fulfillment mirrors the process of salvation, an awakening to life's essential goodness beyond vanity and suffering. By the novel's end, Natasha has achieved a quiet form of grace. She may no longer shine with youthful brilliance, but she has gained something deeper: moral clarity, inner peace, and an unshakable connection to life's eternal rhythm. Conclusion. Natasha Rostova's evolution from a vibrant, impulsive girl to a mature woman of faith and family mirrors the spiritual arc of War and Peace itself. She is the heartbeat of Tolstoy's vision, radiant with emotion, flawed yet redeemable, and ultimately attuned to the moral and spiritual essence of existence. Through Natasha, Tolstoy expresses his most profound belief that true meaning in life lies not in intellectual achievement or worldly success but in the purity of feeling, the strength of love, and the quiet heroism of everyday life.